video for the 16th. I didn't do my video yesterday because I got too lazy, too busy, and passed out first, and so it took me all day. It's like 10:30, 10:20 at night. 16th December 21. Yeah, just doing lots of stuff. Google Earthing Rome recently came across a bunch of images that I'm going to use for the ground. I typed tiles on Envato because I just got Envato, and there was like a dozen different tiles that I got, and I came up with a cool idea to have them mimic real measuring, so you can use them for measuring as you're looking at the video. So I have this one that's blue tiles, so I set them for 1 foot per tile, and it's still really big. So I filled up this really big square. It's a really big plaza with it. So that's cool, 1 footer. And then I have a bunch of like 1 tile per meter tiles, and those are still pretty big. I have one that's red, really shiny red, green, and then and then I made my white tile ones the same size as lane widths for the pools, and then some tiles that are like a tile 2 meters for smaller. So a bunch of those, and I was using other like mosaics that I lifted off the internet for the baths, but I'm using these for like tiles for just like residential. So I was also dumping grass. A long time I didn't really decide how I wanted the ground to look, and I decided on dark grass. I put the dark grass on a bunch of the temples before, but I decided to use that as a background, the base for the whole of the city. It's like the color of like really healthy like dark grass. That's what I picture. I like grass between buildings. That's what I picture it looking like, the dark grass. And you can stretch it and shrink it to whatever size and make it malleable. But I also got one off of Envato I set to 20 meters wide, and I put the size on the title of like grass petals, and it's really a good picture. And it's 20 meters by like 50 meters or something, and 20 meters by 40 meters or something, and it's like really when you get down to ground level, you can see the petals, and it's like it makes it look really cool. It's kind of like reminds me of like movies that are half cartoon, half real life. Like my Polygon stuff is cartoon, the buildings, and even my my brick road, but then right next to the grass, which is a real life picture, and looks cool. So it takes a lot longer to put it on. So I have the grass because I kind of am trying to trend towards having different images have different meanings. Because I have the images that have the sizes, so that's cool. Like the one that I was just doing now is these like different color, shiny, grayish tiles to fill up the insides of all of the like the inner courtyard of the apartment buildings insulas that I made, and those are set to 1 meter per tile, and it was like 2 of them, 2 images I have to put in, I forgot what I was gonna say, but that's what I used for that one. So that was like this area of like 10, like 5 down and 2 across. So it kind of reminded me of like an apartment subdivision because they all work like the same, for that area. So for all of those, get the same tiles on the inside. Try to keep it consistent like that. And every temple gets the same green tiles that are on the Pantheon. That's like the mother temple. So that's like the temple tiles. And then blue are like really big apartment buildings. And I also use those. It's like big squares, big plaza. Green is for baths. One temple has it. So I guess also like places where there's water. So I put them on the end of the aqueduct area, and so those are the ones that I'm using now. And then the grass, I put the grass under as a base for all of it. So like between the sidewalk in the building would be grass, and I did leave area between the road and the buildings on the other parts of the map, so I can decide later what color to put down there. I was thinking before, like make that the sidewalk. So put like a sidewalk color image under it, but we'll see. But because that's what the map had, I'm trying to keep my Google Earth as similar to the map as possible, and it had like a little like sidewalk built in, and even it was like too small to be real life. Maybe like a meter or less than a meter. I measured it 80% of a meter or something, but I don't know. I guess maybe a little sidewalk, but that's not going to be what on the side of the region 5 that I'm working on right now. It's just grass. I like having grass at the background all over the place because it kind of makes it cozy. I love green. Makes it seem like well kept, clean, well watered. And back in those days, Italy got rained on a lot more than now. That's why like if you had the aqueducts, the same population as back then, the aqueduct setup, you wouldn't be able to run them as well, like almost nearly as well, because a lot of the wells dried up, and it's just not as generally as moist now as then. Not as many lakes and stuff, so it's not as much rain now as back then. So so you can see all those rivers there, so you can picture a lot of rain in those days, which will make it green. And you can picture like a snapshot in time, like rainy season, because when you look at Google Earth images, you see a lot of like dark green, mixed in with light green and dirt. So just make it all grass, because it's Rome. Back in those days, maybe they had slaves to keep it well watered, or you're just picturing the time of year where it's grassy, nice and green, beautiful, most beautiful time. Like out here in May, the natural grass is perfectly green. It looks great from a distance. So kind of like what I'm doing. So, but I also have the light grass petals in the middle part. So the grass petals means like downtown Rome. Like everything around the Colosseum, between buildings that are on my map. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. So I think, but I took a day off. From the videos. So the other thing that I did was yeah, just placing all that stuff all over, like in all the different regions. I'm just plunking down the images the tile images and grass images, so that I can use them for everything on there. And then when I see it, just dragging it. Yeah, so I'm excited to finally put the ground on, because I spent so much time building the buildings and everything. But then when you look at it on Google Earth, it kind of doesn't look good. You don't fall into the world, like you're actually looking at Rome, because you can see below it in the real world with all the sidewalks and cars and roads and stuff. So when you put the grass down, it kind of, now you're like, you're not distracted by that, and you're in it. And so hopefully I'll be pretty soon. By tomorrow, I have these the big grass areas take up a lot of area. So I'm trying to hope to go ahead and like finish all of it, like, I don't know, tonight or tomorrow. By tomorrow, all of the ground, so it's all ready to go. So if you look at it all together, it'll look, if you have like a powerful computer, it'll look like good, like one, like a city, and not be distracted in its own right, with none of the modern day coming through. I did deliberately leave a car there shine through. I was thinking, every once in a while I'll have like a car. It's good to have a car and stuff. And and also it's like a delicate balance between too much detail, because it takes too much time, and not enough detail because it doesn't look good. But also how much bleed through to allow, modern day world. Because I like to think in the areas where there's parks and nature, I like to keep that. Just don't cover at all, and only build the roads on the buildings on top of the buildings that are there, and
try to turn it into like a domus area, like a rich villa domus area, and or a park, or area around the apartment buildings and with the trees and stuff. So yeah, I was doing that with Region 1 a lot, and I also in Region 1 I was building houses, because I noticed I didn't even start building the houses in a lot of regions, which is like interesting, because I'm not nearly as far along as I thought I was, I mean, and it happened. I mean, it happens all the time, but on this one, big time, because I was like, I thought I built all the houses everywhere, but I only built the houses on 14, 5, 6. Yeah, yeah. So like only a couple of them, because they all have a whole bunch of them, like more than 100. 125 and 140. Two with 125 and two with 140 for some reason, but yeah. So I saw a bunch of houses on Region 1, because that was the part of Rome that has houses today. And I was curious to see if there was as many houses today as there were then, because it called for 140 then. So I went in and I plunked in. I had to make 140, folders within the houses. So then I plugged that folder in the other ones that I hadn't built the houses yet. So I have to build the folders in those. But just started tracing the houses that I saw, and I got up to like 76, so like a little over half. And then I backed up and I looked at it, because there were still more houses to trace, and I was like, yeah, is it going to be the same, I think I'm going to run out. I think I figured I would run out after after I get 100, maybe there's like another 24 houses there, I don't know. So then I would have to put in another, 50 houses. So there was like 50% more houses then than now. The houses that are there now have like a lot of acreage. And I also have to put a lot of apartments there too. So, and everything else. So, more time. By the end of the year, I think I'll be still working, obviously, on Rome. Luckily, I'll be a lot more along, but I'm at the point where, one day, just kind of one thing. There's lots of things, so I'll be so motivated on it, and I'll be probably going all the way through January. And maybe by the end of January, I'll be done with Rome. So what I need, because one thing that pushes me along, makes me super excited about it, is that I'd like to come up with a formula for, the size of the room, for how many people there are, and like a base template, so that I can then build every single year for it, on that. But one thing that I have to reconcile is I'm building my Rome inside of the entirety of the Rome that I have inside of the Aurelian Wall, but the Rome that I'm building is off of the year 354 census that they took. It's like the only one that we have. But 354, but the wall was made in 275, so that's 54 plus 25, 64, 74, 79 years later, and it was a lot smaller. Rome had been going in decline. That's why they built the wall in the first place, because they couldn't defend themselves against the barbarians. So so the population of Rome, when Aurelian Wall was finished in 275, was like 870,000, and in the year 354, which is the one that I'm building it off of, it was only like 839,000. So it lost like 40,000. Only they're in the same area, and I'm kind of like filling up the whole area. So I'm hoping that, and I'm not trying to. So I'm hoping that whatever number that I come up with, when I'm done with the year 354 inside of the Aurelian Wall, I hope that there's going to be enough park space that I can then fill up from the year 275, and have the year 275 fill it snugly, nice and snugly and tight, but realistic. and that the year 354 is just more park space. So all of the buildings are the same height. I want it to be like consistent, so that the size, when you look at the size and number of buildings, is shown, even though they're both take up the same space inside the Aurelian Wall between the year 275 and 354. The difference being 275 is a lot denser with the same type of building. So once I do that, then I can keep to that formula and then just build it out from there, from the biggest. But I also know how big the Rome was at its height. And so I want to reconcile. So I have like two different metrics to go off of. Because they said, and I recorded it down there, that like Rome, the city of Rome, and I think I read it in Agrarian Laws of Rome. I keep meaning to try to read that book. I'll try to, you know what, I'm going to go and try and read the book now. I keep procrastinating on my Kindle. Because they said like they said like knew how big it, like maybe from legend, how big it went to the city, the metropolitan part of Rome went out when it was at its biggest, because when the Aurelian Wall was built, it had 880,000 people. In the year 211, I think it was like 903,000. And when it was, because I'm getting this from this YouTube video I got that showed the population of Rome every year, the city, every year, for like its entirety. And so had the biggest at like around, I guess, the beginning of the empire in 27 BC when Augustus took over. It had 1.2 something million. So that's a whole 25%, a whole quarter bigger. The one that I'm building is only like 3/4 as big, or maybe Aurelian, like the one I'm building is when it was at its biggest. So it'd reach out that much bigger from the Aurelian Wall. And but remember they said in the book that like it went out a certain distance from all of the different from all the roads from the center. The center of the Rome is the fountain right next to the which Mussolini destroyed because he's an idiot. Right next to the Colosseum, and they had all these roads, like 7 roads go out from it, directly out, like that saying, all roads lead to Rome, radially like spokes on a tire. And they went, but they said how many miles per each one, or I mean, the total of all of those roads was how big it was. So you take all the 7 roads, I think it was, and then you add the distance of all of them up, and that's how far out they went. And average it, and then that's how far out they went, and that was the edge of Rome. And I looked at it, and it, I think, and then, so that's one of them. And then there was another one. I think somebody said where it was, because when they said where, what direction it went, I mean how far out. So hopefully I get that number to match the one that I'll naturally arrive at when I add 25% more houses and apartments and stuff to what I'm at now. And and then so kind of come up with a formula that way, or just make it consistent. Make it's believable that it would be more park space as you go farther out anyway. So if that doesn't work out consistently, so so I mean I'll have it ready for download by the end of the year. I keep procrastinating. I still need to back it up to my external. It's been a while, for like a month or something. Oh my God, at least a few weeks. But even though I won't be done, I don't think, until the end of January. But so I've got like a lot of stuff going on. It's gonna look cool when it's done, because I can do a time-lapse YouTube video every year, population size of Rome on the houses, but also population, because that's another thing. But I have to go in through and do another batch edit. It'll take like all day. Batch edit, like with my repetitive, because it's like I have to do each one. Raising the number, because I was dumb when I built it, and that was just a couple, like last week. the population of Rome, I set them at 17, but I have to have all these other ones that bigger because I have ones on top of others when I build the city. And so 17 is not going to work. So I have to go in there and make it like 25 on top of everything. So into each individual, but I did it for 860,000 people. So that's 860 of those that I have to fix that. It'll take like half the day or something, or all day. Oh my God. Another mistake, another boo-boo. And this is one I just made recently. I was just convinced that it was going to be high enough. It was before I realized about how you have to have it all the way at 16 for it's visible on the map, because I wanted to have it on top of the map to show how I made it. But so then that means I had to set the road for 17 above it. And then but then I had to have other things under the road, but still over the city, the map, the grass, which meant that had to be 16. So anyway, which is, and I think maybe even some of mine maybe have been 16. So yeah, anyway, so that's another thing. But I'll do that whenever I feel like I have time. But just stick to what is interesting. And this is interesting now, putting all these images on the grass and also the tiles in the buildings, because and I love the idea about the tiles being exactly 1 meter, because you can see them. You can see each individual tile. So once you develop the skill of judging numbers, and then you just look at and you see how big it is just by looking at it. Well, that's 25-meter long by 15-meter wide plaza, just by looking at it, because these are the tiles on it. So that's really cool. Yeah, but I'm kind of like editing, going in and fixing each region a little bit, and then the other one a little bit, because I want to like fill it up with the grass, and then on the tile. So yeah, it's a lot going on. I also have to finish the aqueducts. I think I did most of them. It's just one that I didn't finish. And then I guess that's it for inside the city. Oh yeah, but I have to build like the houses and the apartments for the rest of the region. So anyway, it's coming along. By the end of the month, I'll have it uploaded to have it show where I'm at. But yeah, it won't be until the end of like January or February until I'm done with this, the year 354. And then that's when I can start doing it every year, come up with the formula. Oh no, but then I'm going to build inside of Severin wall, and that'll make its own, that has its own little system to it too, because I know the area of Severin wall and I know the population of it when it was built. That's going to be fun. And also, inside of the early Rome, when they had round huts, at one point they went from round huts to square buildings. And my book says when. I can pinpoint when. And so then I'll make that like a gradual, maybe like one generation takeover of the square houses built out of stone, replacing the wooden round huts. So that'll be interesting. And so, anyway, got my work cut out for me. I drank last night, alcohol. I kind of drank more than I usually do, but I guess I'm fat. I weighed myself at 202 pounds a couple weeks ago. It was only the second time I was over 200 pounds. A couple of years ago, I was 202 pounds, so I'm getting like fat because I've been drinking a lot. But last night I got like four shooters because I got 3. I thought I was getting 3 different kinds, but one of them was 2, but they were only $1.09. And then I saw this like jelly, 13% jelly, and I was like, oh, I gotta get that. So I was smoking, and then I like ran out of weed like this morning, and I was thinking about not smoking any more weed. But then today I was like, and I went all day, kind of sobered up completely because I smoked when I woke up and ran out, and then I went all day, and I was like, you know what, you're working on Rome, like come on, like This is the heat. Like I feel it. I'm like, this is the shit. Magnum opus of Google Earthing, and or maybe the of everything. And I'm like, treat yourself to whatever, while you're on the city of Rome. Like, just get it done. Whatever. It's like baby pamper the version of me working on Rome. So I keep doing it because it's, and I've done this, I think, in 2 different waves, and each one, I think that's the one. I'm going to be done with it because I'm like so excited. But then I burn out because I get really detailed. And then I went in for another one. I'm like, oh man, I think I'm going to be done with that. Same reason, because I'm excited. But then I get super detailed. So this is wave 3. And I've been doing it a couple weeks. So yeah, but this is the one where I'm like, come on, let's finish this. You can finish this. Because I've never actually finished anything. And this is and I keep thinking every time I work on a Rome that this is the one that I'm going to finish because it's so interesting. I think I'm going to finish it. But yeah, we'll see. There's other stuff around Rome that I want to Google Earth really bad too, like the Bronze Age Italy right next to Rome, but I don't think that'll take over. I'm hooked on this for now. So, yeah, kind of have the munchies. I don't know if I have the motivation to ride my bike all the way to the store. I did that last night too. After I got alcohol, got like drunk or whatever, and then I went over and I got like munchies. I got sweet tarts and then a big bag of what are they called? Flaky. I guess Mexican. You like potato chip, which are really good. But it was really spicy. Maybe I should pamper myself. Oh, it's like 10 something. Maybe I should get alcohol again. I got it at this gas station, and then I didn't even know it was 24/7. Maybe it is, or maybe I went there. I thought it was like 1 in the morning when I went there, but they have alcohol, and I've never bought alcohol there. I should go there just to get alcohol because I've never gotten alcohol there. Make it like a 2 nights in a row drinking. Just work. Because what I'm doing now is interesting, man. Just pumping in all these tiles and grass and stuff. It's like coming together really fast, Because the time-consuming this part was the building of it. I already built a lot of stuff in Region 5 anyway. So all the houses and the apartments, of which there's thousands, like a couple hundred houses. I don't know how much there are in Region 5 because Region 5 is really big, one of the big ones, and like 1,000 or something apartments. So, and I can't even remember how I have the apartments organized. I need to look at it because they're not I don't think they're multiple level. And back then they said they were multiple level, so maybe that was when. Maybe I'll experiment with building those when I make it more populated, for the year 275 version, or make some of them around. Just not that many. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm up to. This is almost a half hour, but I took a day off. I'll try to do my video tomorrow. The reason I didn't do it was because I was just hooked to the work, which is awesome because I don't have to have insomnia. I just work until I get tired and go to sleep. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow.